All right, guys, we are live. Welcome to the lunch break here at FNGO. Appreciate you guys joining us. I know it's going to take a few minutes for some of you guys to get on here as you are probably busy going throughout your day. I actually just jumped over here from watching Bassmaster and their forward face and sonar coin flips. Now, of course, they're dragging it out like no tomorrow. So you guys are going to have to let me know what they decide on Champlain or St. Lawrence. What's up, Houston, out there? But anyway, I don't know how many of you guys have been watching that. That's what I've been watching for about the last, I don't know, hour or so. And I'm not necessarily against the coin flip. You guys, we're going to talk about that. Just did you like it? How do you think they did it? Just what your opinions are on that. Now, guys, before everybody gets on here, let me go ahead and talk about tonight's live well that we're going to have right here at Fish, North Georgia at 8 o'clock. It's going to be kind of like an airing of grievances type of episode. And Dozer21, appreciate you over there on TikTok, buddy. We're going to let you guys we're going to talk about what's wrong with the industry. If you got an opinion on anything that you would like to see fixed, we'd love for you to come and join us tonight, talk about it. Also try to provide some solutions. You'd be surprised at how many guys of importance actually watch our podcast. They're there. Kyle Brown, Doug Rice, what's up, guys? There's a lot of guys that will watch it in some of the organizations. And so they actually hear a lot of the things you guys are discussing. What's up, Tony Watkins? Over there on YouTube. Doc Holiday, appreciate you. Freeze One, hello from Athens. How you doing there? Eagles beating up the Cowgirls at 7. I know tonight we got to compete with the NFL, and we might talk about that a little bit today too. The NFL season is among us. That's one thing we always have to compete with in the fall for the Thursday night show, especially if the Falcons are playing. You know, a lot of the local guys are going to watch the Falcons. I don't blame them. There are some Thursday nights here during the season that I'm like, man, I wish I was at home watching the ball game. But we're going to be here with you guys talking. But tonight, bring it, and anything is on the table. But we want it fishing industry specific. And so it can be products, it can be schedules, it can be anything. And it's going to be a safe space. That's the big thing we want to make sure is we're going to try to prevent people from blasting others, things like that. A safe space for you to say, hey, this is what I disagree with. This is why, and this is how I'd fix it. And then we'll discuss it. We may agree with you. We may not agree with you. It just depends on what all's going on. I doubt we will agree with everything. You guys probably won't agree with some of the stuff I'm saying. Hope they do better than the Braves have done this year. Listen, we're spoiled. Now, I grew up, my formative years were the 80s. What's up, traveling fisherman? My formative years were the 80s. And listen, I lived through bad Braves teams. Bad Braves teams. A safe space has pew-pews. And Dozer, I do. What's up, Chase Coker? So you remember those teams of the 80s. They were awful. Now, since the 90s, we have been really, really spoiled. So I'm okay, even though it is disappointing, I'm okay with the Braves having a down season or two. It's going to happen. I'm kind of shocked by it, to be honest with you. But with all the injuries that they've had, good Lord, their pitching staff. Now, other than that new kid they got up, and Elder didn't pitch bad last night either. But, I mean, I'm surprised that Snicker hasn't called me to come in and try to pitch a game. That's the way it seems like it's been for the Braves this year. I could go up and give them 2 innings of just left-handed curveballs, maybe throwing a knuckleball, but my fastball is going to get crushed. But, then again, have you ever seen when sometimes they bring in the utility man, the infielder or something to pitch when the game's a blowout? Lots of times, they strike out a lot of guys. So maybe I might, for an inning, could hang with them, just throwing the old eephus pitch. Well, you still pull for the Braves and wear all the gear and fly the flag. We love the Braves. I do too. Lifelong fan. Baseball is my favorite sport by far, not even close. This coin toss is R-worded, LOL. Yeah, we'll talk about that here in just a second. I remember going to Old Fulton County Stadium and watching them lose a lot. Me too. And Greg, howdy from South Carolina. Appreciate you joining us today. Hope you will join in the conversation. Yeah, the Old Fulton County Stadium. I got 3 great memories from that stadium. Number one was me and my dad went to a Falcons Saints game, and the guys behind us were plastered. It was early in the season, so it was hot. And about third quarter, they spilt beer all over my father and I. Um, they didn't mean to. Guys were just having a little fun at a football game. But they were plastered. And I was probably about, I don't know, 7, 8, 9 years old, but I still remember it. My dad looked at me and goes, kind of felt pretty good. What's up, Tyler Shellnut? That one, I remember one time, this was before they moved, the Otis Nixon catch was there. Saw that. And then you remember back then they had the urinals. Okay, they had the troughs. They didn't have an individual stall back then. But you guys have heard me talk about the time that the woman come into the bathroom, there's 150 guys in there, and a woman walks right up to the trough, and she just guinea horns it out there and goes. It's like that place was loud, and it just went dead silent. And everybody's just kind of looking down the aisle, and she's just going. She stopped. She walked out. Everybody kind of looked at each other, and then we went around about our business and all that. But I was probably 13 or 14 when that happened. So that was my first experience of equality, I guess you want to say. She wasn't waiting in that woman's line. She walked right up there just like a champ. But, yeah, the old Fulton County Stadium, that place was not a very nice one, sure. But it was called the Launching Pad. A lot of home runs hit there. Dozer 21, hard being a Razorback baseball fan. Yeah. Watch some of you guys. It'd be harder being a football fan for the Razorbacks, but I get it. The original run what you brung. That's what it was, Fred Ashcraft. That one walked right in there and just fink. And it was just like, good Lord, I didn't even know it was possible. You guys got to remember, I was a young man back then. That's when I started learning there's a lot more things possible in this world than I knew at the time. So anyway, it was good. But let's see. Coleman says, what's up, gents? Sitting in the airports heading to a bachelor trip. Good Lord, dude. Been to Alaska. Now you're going on a bachelor trip. Telling you, you don't want to leave that woman home alone for too long, dude. You got to be there. I had a T-ball team back in the day, and we played a game on that field at Old Fulton County Stadium. What a memory. You know what? I remember walking it as a kid. Wes is pouring concrete. Well, buddy, I hope we can, make your concrete adventure a little bit better for about an hour or so. So appreciate you joining us right now. All right, so guys, I want your opinion. Oh, real quick, point of order. Saturday is the Sheffield tournament, the benefit tournament at Little Hall. Okay. Tomorrow is fishing. Good for you, dude. I hope you get to go. So again, we've got some that have signed up, pre-registered. A couple of you guys in the comments, you sent me that. I'll give you your boat number after the show, and I'll contact you and give you your boat number. But blast off, I asked Farmer if you're fishing it. He said he thought safe flight might have been around 6:30. I'm going to ask him when he gets up here. We're going to look at it just to let you guys know exactly when it is. But you can still register the morning of. Registration opens about 4:30. It's $100 per team, 50-50 split, okay? So they're going to have a raffle. A lot of great prizes, too. There's some really cool baits. And rods and some guide trips that are going to be out there. So you guys, we'd love for you to come out, and we'll see. We'll see what happens. But it's all to, help our buddy Ryan. Who will win MPFL Angler of the Year, Welcher or Cook? Pulling for Cook just because, I got a good relationship, but Kyle's real nice too. They've both been on the show. But I like Drew Cook. I don't know if he'll win it, but I like Drew Cook. So anyway, guys, let's jump on the Bassmaster thing. We talked about it yesterday. Heard a lot of people. First, I want to know what you think, if you've watched it or even if you haven't, the idea of the coin flip. Okay, the idea of the coin flip. Now, here's my only really knock in watching it. Now, it is like anything. Like when they do, ESPN does the 64 for the college basketball tournament for March Madness, or when the final playoff brackets, they always make you wait and they drag that crap out. Well, it's good TV because they want viewers, and they want viewers to stay on there a long time. That's why they wait to the end. I will say this, just watching the coin flip, this is my personal opinion. Alex says it's weighted. It could be. But Lord Zona, and I like Mark Zona, but boy, he had to explain it to you. To me, after the first time of saying, hey, this side means no forward-facing sonar, this side means forward-facing sonar, go. You've explained it to us. After each time when he's got they had a guest on kind of for about when they're talking about each couple of lakes. You got to go through the guys pontificating about the lake. Then you had to go through the actual angler, which was not bad. It wasn't bad. But then Zona goes, "Are you ready? This side means forward faces." And I'm like, dude, you told me that 32 minutes ago. Just flip the damn coin. Just flip the coin. Also, too, his coin flipping ability, Lord, he's never going to be an NFL referee. I mean, what that thing spin? About 3 or 4 times? Now, it did spin. It did spin. And they had the circle of truth. The circle of truth that it had to go in. It was a production, guys. And listen, for TV, it should be, okay? You thought Zona retired. I think they brought him back for this Freeze one. I'm not 100% sure. I think just because it's such a big thing. But, and I like Zona. Don't get me wrong, but good Lord, just flip the damn coin. You guys are going to have to tell me about if they did the last one, if they did St. Lawrence, because I tried to get all of them written down before we went live here. And I mean, I was like, good Lord, I'm not going to make it. And with about 23 seconds before I hit go live on TikTok and on this, that's when they did the final two Pasquotank and Champlain. So I'm like, good Lord. Let me read some comments. Tyler says, I think it should be fishery based. I think if it's an offshore dominant fishery, you should have forward facing sonar. If it's a shallow structure type of fishery, then no forward facing sonar. It was drug out, but I think it'll all be fun tournament season for everyone. Good mix up. Yeah. Alex says, I disagree, Tyler. I think if it's an offshore dominant fishery, you really can prove yourself by not using it there. So there's like that. There is two schools of thought. Now, when we talked about it yesterday, I didn't know. We were kind of guessing what they would do. And they did exactly what we thought they would. They took the two, Alabama ones, and they flipped on the first one. So Gunnersville got the flip, and then Martin just was the result. Gunnersville not having forward-facing sonar, totally fine with it. That is a hell of a fishery. They're going to go over there and they're going to slam it. Clint did say we have what we like to call the Bite Club. It is all the guys that are on the podcast with me and everything. We have our own little message group on Facebook. He did make an interesting point. When it came to Gunnersville being no forward-facing sonar, the opportunity for century belts totally diminished with that coin flip. There was a extreme possibility of quite a few anglers being able to break the 100-pound mark on Gunnersville with forward-facing sonar. Okay, and these are pros. If the pros are there, there is a good chance. And he kind of said 10 to 1. You could have seen, I don't know about 10, but you could have seen an awful lot of century belts given out on Gunnersville using forward-facing sonar. It's gone. Martin gets it. So I think that actually worked out between the two. I think G-Man, he was the guest on that one. And him and his black eye, boy, he got popped. I'm telling you what, he absolutely got popped. Regardless of how it happened, he got popped. And, that worked out. 10 Tom's going to not have it. Arkansas River, they're going to have it. Murray gets it. That's the one that I was like, okay, they're going to slam that one. But it was interesting to hear Cruz. John Cruz was on there saying he didn't think that many guys actually use forward facing. And no, Doug, we're not talking about it. We're going through about 5 more minutes just of the flip, and then we're going to get off forward facing sonar. But he said a lot of guys on Murray he didn't think used it last year. So interesting, they get it. Pasquotank, they can. Champlain, no. Somebody in the comment section, Coleman said Champlain would know forward facing is interesting, exciting to see St. Lawrence. And then I don't know what happened with St. Lawrence. If they've done it yet, they're going to do it at a later date. Okay, I didn't think. My question is, though, what do you think about the way they did it with the coin flip? That's the big thing. And they're saying it was for transparency, not done behind the boardroom. Therefore, nobody could say that a company, certain people, whatever, had any influence on the decisions. So what do you guys think about that? Okay, just how they did it. But other than that, I'm glad they finally got it done, got it out of the way. They finally got it out of the way, and so now everybody knows what they're going to be dealing with. Everybody can get on with their lives. But did Bassmaster do it the right way? You guys are free to throw it out there. Now, another thing I want to talk about today, too, and you guys can throw out your NFL talk, your baseball talk. You can throw out anything because that's the way we do here. But coming up this weekend, with a lot of guys being on Lanier, it is going to get hot again. I just checked the weather. before we came on. Forward facing confirmed on St. Lawrence. Okay. Well, that's probably better for the fish catching. We may see a century belt, but I don't think the weights hold real high for all 4 days, Dave said. And listen, that's on Gunnersville. Possible. It's possible. Interesting thing that Zona said, though, before we get on to other stuff. Zona said when he talked about Welcher after, that tournament he had last year where he just crushed. Welcher was kind of unhappy, or at least mentioned to him he was kind of not satisfied in the fact that his first Elite Series win, he used forward facing sonar. That's what I think. I think that's what Zona said. But listen, Doug, I don't want to talk it that much, so I promise you. But he did say that. And again, I don't know. But if you guys are going fishing this weekend, a lot of you guys will be. How is the hotter weather going to affect you? It's been fairly cool for August. And we are in this little yo-yo pattern where we have a few warmer days, but it's basically been pretty mild. Pretty mild. But now I saw that Saturday the temp's going to be 92, 93. And so even if you're not fishing Lanier and you've been fishing your regular lake, how does that affect you in the way that you're going about your business or your planning, as far as what you're going to target? Tyler says, I don't mind the heat. My fishing partner does, so he will be complaining. Doing the tracker ice chest mod now. What is that, Dozer? What is that for everybody who wants to know? You say a modification? Will you guys be still throwing top water? How are you going to start off early? One thing about Kevin Underwood, during the heat of summer, like his best topwater bites were coming 12 to 2, full sunshine, sun directly overhead. On Lanier, that's when he was getting blowed up. Now, of course, that's been a month or two ago. So I'm just very curious on that. Very interesting to see what you guys take on that. I know some guys that had a plan, or they were telling me about their plan last week for Sheffield's tournament. And I've even heard some of the podcast guys in here, some of the bike club talking about it. But they didn't talk about the heat. So I'm wondering, that's putting an igloo cooler into the existing ice box. Okay. Thank you, Tracy Coker. Thank you, Tracy. Appreciate that. He said mod. I didn't know if he was modifying something. Lanier is going to do that on this tracker. You're putting an igloo cooler into the existing ice box. That makes sense now. Yeah, you need to do that. Patricia Leanne Shaw says, well, it is still summertime. It definitely is still summertime. Pontoon Jody, catfishing. Greetings, Earthlings. Hey, Pontoon Jody, how's the catfishing been here lately? And actually, I'd like to know what's the best time of the year if you're going after trophy cats, and I mean trophies, and by that, it's probably 60, 70, 80 pounds for people like you. What's the best time of year to do that? The traveling fisherman, with a good run of silver salmon, the trout and daily bite is on fire. See, dude, what's the high temperature where you're at? You're still in Alaska, right? What is it like up there? Because as I get older, and this is one thing for sure, I have never understood why people from up north moved down to Florida. There was a period of time where a ton of people from above the Mason-Dixon line would end up retiring in Florida. Now, first of all, my gosh, it's the humidity. Megan Fleeman, hey, from Hartwell, Georgia. How you doing? Appreciate you stopping by. Why do older people go to Florida? As I get older, I hate the heat more and more and more. I would rather go north. Now, I don't want to go too far north, but I would rather go where it's cooler. But people come down to Florida, I'm like, it is stagnantly hot year-round. It rains all the time. The mosquitoes will carry you away. They come to Hartwell to retire on the lake. That I can believe. But Hartwell ain't too bad. It is hot here, south, but I'm talking like Orlando and all that. Every time we go to ICAST, my goodness, you got to cut the air to walk through it. What's up, everyone? Been crazy past few weeks and haven't been able to jump on the lives, Titus. We appreciate you jumping on. That's because you never lived up north, Danny. May be true, but I know what hot is. And I have hunted and experienced, 17 degrees and 40-mile-an-hour winds in Illinois deer hunting. So I have experienced that, but I just don't like being hot. You can, especially when it comes to yard work, like, if it's 40 degrees for a high, 40 degrees for a high. Oh, James Ramsey's also in Hartwell, Georgia at the moment, Megan. He's a trucker. He's up there. 55 low humidity. It's not really cold, but that's where you're at. I would take 55 low humidity all day long. All day long. But you give me a chainsaw, a rake, a leaf blower, something like that when it's nice and cool, I'll work all day long. You tell me to go out there and cut my grass, it takes 35 minutes. After I get done out here one afternoon when it's 98 degrees, I don't want to do it. They moved there for the laid back beach scene, maybe, or, the pineapples, the upside down pineapples, who knows? I have a forward facing question. How do I catch fish with it? Because I have one and I stink. That's not the way it's supposed to be, Doug. It's supposed to be automatic that if you have one, you just became a much better fisherman. That's the way it's supposed to be. Florida in the winter is perfect. Summertime, no thank you. Yeah, I mean, in the winter, what's it, 70? Shoveling snow is for the birds, Alex says. And swingers in them communities, man. Swingers in them communities. That is down there in Florida. What's up, Messick? What's up there, buddy? I don't know. I don't know. That's just me. I just do not like the heat. Now, if we're fishing a tournament, I'm going to get right out there and I'm going to fish. I'm going to do that. If you can't calibrate the compass or you're looking at a bad view, those are just posed that question. If you can't calibrate the compass, are you looking at a bad view? Possibly. Thomas Alexander, what's up, brother? What's up with you, Thomas? Appreciate you swinging by. He doesn't. Titus said, listen, Doug, you don't have the bite button installed. There's a bite button that comes on all forward-facing sonar units. And even now the new one's got a handheld thing so that when you throw it out there and you see the fish coming to you, if you press that button, it sends a signal to that fish's brain using technology that only, aliens can understand. But that fish is guaranteed to bite your lure. I think Garmin's coming out with that. Or I think it might be just in testing stage right now. But you got to have the bite button on your forward-facing sonar. Got to have it. Else, you'll be coming on here saying, I stink with it. But that's the secret to it. Got to have the bite button, man. Automatic. Pontoon Jody, if you guys interested in big, huge catfish, my best month is April. I can almost tell you to the day the skips and the catfish go into a frenzy, and the bite is ferocious. I love it. I reference the date to prior lives the last 3 years. Okay. Thomas Alexander says, sound amazing. Where do I get one? Well, I tell you what, just go to the Garmin website, and actually where you can hit info, all you guys go to the Garmin website, type in on the info, and just say, hey, I heard you got an automatic bite button for your for the 34. Where can I get one? And order it. See where you can order one. Just see if they respond to you. That would be funny as crap. I'd rather fish in 40 degrees instead of 100%. Now, right now, the bite is awful, though, for Pontoon Jody. The new Garmin TNT scope is guaranteed to work every time. I've been having fun with my Mega Live too, Tracy said. Tracy, give me some opinions on that, how you like it. Is the nudie camp still up around Dawsonville? Yes. Paradise Valley or something like that. Actually, funny story. It's only like when my father-in-law, where his land was, and he's passed on, and so mother-in-law kind of still lives there. But you could walk through the woods about 10 minutes. You could be on the back side of that thing. No, don't ask me how. Don't ask me how. Please send the link to the bite button. You guys, listen, go to Garmin. I think that would just be funny if about 40 of you guys went, hey, Fish North Georgia said you had an automatic bite button for your new graph. We'd like to know where you can order one. I don't care if y'all throw me under the bus. I think it'd be funny. Tell them, Danny, you can always put on more clothes. You can't take so much off. Dang the heat. That's right. Nobody won't see me naked. Like, seriously, like, when the kids, when none of the kids right now that everybody's kind of moved out, or I do have one child, but she lives upstairs, but she works at nights and all that. She leaves, I'm in the buff, dude. And you would not, my wife's always like, would you put something on? Nobody wants to see that. I mean, my wife tells me that. She goes like, I promise you, nobody wants to see that thing every single time. Jacob Wheeler has it, so it has to be true, Titus said. All right, so Jacob Wheeler has the automatic bite button from Garmin. Dave Aldridge, you have to open your live wells after you turn it on so they can jump in, Doug. That's how it works too. They'll just straight up porpoise right into it. The best five too. The best five. Tracy said they're about on the Mega Live 2 here, catching a few and also watching them go up to it, sniff it, and turn away. It's very clear. That's what I experience a lot more, and I think that's what a lot of people experience. But of course, you hear some of these people, it makes it easy. It's one of the most frustrating things I have ever seen in my life. Can you see the fish? For sure. But it really does irritate you when they do that. We have been having 60 fish days on tuna. How's Lanier been? Well, I haven't been on it. Some guys, like I know Underwood's been catching them really good. He had like almost 20 pounds just during his 2-hour live the other day on his Patreon. I have thought about booking a campsite there without telling my wife. Here's what I've heard. What's up, Atlanta Safe House? Appreciate you stopping by. Here's what I've heard about that. I'm 53. Let's just say, if we're being honest, a lot of the people that participate in that are older than I am. That's what I've heard. I know some guys that have to go in there and do work there, and the clothing's optional. But it's always the ones that you just don't really want to see free balling, okay? Or sagging. That's what I've been told. Never been there. And I think I've heard that about a lot of those type places. You know, you got the hippies left over from the 60s, and they're just like just like free and everything, and they want to live the rest of their lives out there being free. Who wants to see that? Okay. It ain't Raquel Welch in her 80s or 90s out there, okay? It's Ma that's probably smoked cigarettes for the last 65 years and all that. That's what you're going to see at these places. Now, unless you guys have been there and I'm wrong, tell me. I'm going based upon information from guys that I know that have worked in there. You don't necessarily want to see what's there. Drop the OnlyFans link, Danny. I don't know if you watched it. It's been a few years ago. It was on an episode that got us in a lot of trouble where we had a little bit too much to partake of before the show. And I ended up showing my feet on camera. And it was down there in the basement. And the basement floor is dusty. So that when I took my feet and I stuck it there on the camera, they looked like they were 120 years old with all the dust on the bottom of it. We got in a lot of trouble there. What the world needs is a few more rednecks. Absolutely. 100%. The ones I've seen turning back are smaller ones, 8 to 10. Alex says Lanier is on fire. And of course, he's going to say that because he caught his PB. Throwing that. Okay, let me see if I can remember, Alex. You're using a Spro skip gap football head, 1/4 ounce with a tactical, crud. Not the private, the tactical. Basically their version of the Cinco, tail dipped in chartreuse, cut at a 45-degree angle at the head. Am I right? Am I right there with that? If I want to try to remember what you said the other night. Tail dipped in chartreuse. I don't remember the color unless it was green pumpkin. Tail dipped in chartreuse. But I think that's what you said. If I went to a nudie camp, it would quickly become a comedy club. That's why I don't go. I'm going to Sinclair this week, and I hear the hydrilla is rapidly growing there. I'm hoping to find the bass in all of it. You know what? Somebody mentioned, too, that Santee Cooper on Bassmaster about it's getting a lot of grass in it. And I haven't seen it, with my own eyes, but it seems like John Cruz said something about that today. For me, this is Herschel Metters. Is it meters or meters? We're going to go with meters. For me on Lanier, no forward-facing sonar and catching 7 to 10 one day and 2 dinks the next. This was last week. You can do that. I mean, those lakes can be fished without it, especially if you like fishing the bank. I'm catching more big largemouth than I ever had. It was a swagger stick. I couldn't remember the swagger part of it. Yes, it was black and blue flake, tail dipped in chartreuse. And that's what he was catching. But it is on the Spro skip gap. Was it a 1/4 ounce? I'm just trying to make sure I pay attention to what you say. But I knew it started with S. Swagger was what was missing. But there now he is catching a lot of largemouth. And he kind of said where he was at. I won't repeat it, but it is south end of the lake. South end of the lake. Alex is on a high right now. Santee does have a lot of grass, Alex says. Yeah. Ryan, what are you doing tonight? A show. What do you think I'm doing tonight? Is that what you was asking? We're gonna be griping. We're not gonna be griping. We're gonna be trying to fix this industry. Actually, we're gonna let everybody who's watching tonight. We're gonna allow them to air what they think is wrong, and we're gonna talk about it. That's how we're gonna go. Titus, the 1.7s are out, and that's what most of them are. Okay, I got you. A lot of small fish. My boss and his wife went to Paradise Valley all the time. He tried to invite me, and I'd be like, no, I don't want to see my bosses. Yes. Your boss is inviting you, dude? That's just kind of, I don't know. That seems like there'd be some HR stuff involved with that. You know what I'm saying? Like human resources needs to get involved if your boss is inviting you to the nudie camp. I don't know. I'm just saying. Alex was using the 3/16, not a quarter. Ryan says, I know. Yeah. Well, that's just, you know what I'm going to be doing. All of mine have been largemouth in one spot, a 6 cents ridge lizard. And Titus said, that's weird. You know what? Like, seriously, like if any of the guys in here on the bike club, or heck, any customer for that matter, especially if the male variety came in and said, Danny, you want to go to Paradise Valley with me this weekend? With me and the wife? I'm like, nah, bro. First of all, my wife ain't going to let me. Well, first of all, I don't want to go. Second of all, my wife ain't going to let me. But third, why are you asking me? He wants to give you a raise. That might be. His wife probably wanted you to be there, Kevin. Silver Punk, is that what you're saying? Or yeah, I don't know. Listen, I just don't think that's appropriate in the workplace today. I think it's funny. No, I really do think it's funny, and I don't care if you ask you or not. But you got to ask those questions. You got to listen. If Alex came in, and he's going to be on the show tonight. If Alex walked in tonight, and I'm sitting behind my desk, oh, his wife was blonde and Swedish. All right, okay, all right. And why didn't you go? Why didn't you go? You didn't put that information in there. But no, seriously, if Alex came here tonight and goes, hey, Danny, what are you doing this weekend? Oh, no. What are you doing? Well, me and the missus are going up to Paradise Valley. And I'd go, ain't that the nudie camp? Ain't that the nudie camp? Are the podcasts getting uploaded to YouTube? I ain't seen the new one there in a while. Every one of them, Tyler. Just look in the playlist, the Live Well playlist. They should all be on there. Now, I am a little bit behind on Spotify and iTunes. I'm going to work on that this afternoon. But they should be there, Tyler. But I mean, I'll be sitting behind the desk. I'm going to go, Alex is like, ain't that the nudie camp? And he's going to be like, yeah, man, me and the wife are going to go. You want to go? I would say something that I can't repeat right now because I'd get kicked off of TikTok. No, bro, I ain't going with you and your wife. But I just think that is really, really strange. So just look, Tyler. Yeah, when you go on the YouTube channel, just look. It'll have the lunch break playlist. It'll have the Live Well playlist on that. Look under the Live Well. You should find them all there. Doc Holiday, how many boats are signed up for Saturday? I think currently right now I'm at 14 or 15 that pre-registered. I expect the majority of the boats to show up Saturday morning. That's the way Lake Lanier guys do. I don't know why that is. I think, with the Toys for Tots, we had 30 something that pre-registered. We ended up with almost 100 boats. It's a Lake Lanier thing. I don't know why. So I expect a lot more boats will show up Saturday morning. Let's see. Your boss is going to sit in the corner. Seriously, Alex, that was an impressive bag. Yep, he's done well lately. So many jokes to be made, Fred. And listen, like I'm trying to be a better man. I'm just trying to be a better man and not go down all the rabbit holes that I used to go down. Just trying. But it is hard when I hear something like that. Because I got the two angels on my shoulder and the one in the left that's going, Danny, chill. Does your dove season open Saturday? Yes, it does. Absolutely it does. This angel's going, Danny, you don't need to talk about that. Just walk away, Danny. And this one over here is going, dude, you got to get in on that. You've got to get in on that. Now, in times past, the bad angel, or whatever you want to call him, he won. He won a lot more than the good angel does now. But if you knew how many jokes or things that I'd like to say about your boss inviting you to a nudie camp right now, I mean, I could be like Dave Chappelle for a little while. who I think is the funniest human being on the planet. Let's see. What happened to the Touring Anglers tournament? Well, a little insight into that is he is still planning it, and it actually is still being worked. What he wants to do is to make it a huge event. And so he is looking to, let's just say, without giving a lot away, looking into avenues to make it bigger. And when I say bigger, we're talking about payouts. Okay. It was absolutely fantastic event. You also got to keep in mind that now you got 3 tournament trails that he's got to work through with scheduling, but he is working on it. I talk to him every so often, and he still says, hey, listen, it's still, when it does come back, it's going to be big. And that's just all I can tell you. South Carolina dove season's already open. I killed a banded dove yesterday. I saw that picture too this morning, and that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. I don't have a lot of places here to dove hunt. There's a couple of fields around here I can do that. I will say that I was blessed with some new hunting property by a individual that has been on here today that I am looking forward to. It is bow only, and it is going to be one of those places that if you can just say bow only, you kind of know where I'm going. Up the entry fee to $10,000. Well, listen, Patricia Leanne Shaw, not my tournament. I would. I think that if you upped it to $10,000, though, now you're getting into that where you will have your professional anglers that are willing to gamble 10 grand. But I think you're really going to kind of pull some of them out. You see what I'm saying? I don't think, granted, it'd be a great payday. But I don't think, I mean, it's hard enough for them guys to come up with what they got to pay now. And I know Bass lowered theirs and all that, but I mean, even, the NPFL, what is that, $40-something thousand just to fish that? $10,000 for a one-off tournament? I don't know. Walton Doyle, good afternoon from Hollis. Man, get off my lake. Walton, I love you. How's the bite going on out there? I'd love to be out there with you right now. Nice and cloudy. Should be a good day. They should be busting topwater out there. You should be seeing some topwater. Whether you do or not, I don't know. But in a normal year, a day like today, topwater would be absolutely, absolutely cranking. But I don't know how it's going to go this weekend. I saw several guys up there. Lanier's on fire. Will the largemouth play? Now, I know who Alex is fishing with. You're going to be fishing, I think, with Clint. And so we'll see. It's pretty cool that some of the guys are taking, they get the fish, out of the bass boats. They're taking some of the kayak guys. Caught a big one on a glide. There you go. Yeah, Patricia Leanne, I get super tournament, super payout. But you still got to get people willing to do it. That's the big thing. I think you're trying, I want to say, and I could be wrong, but I'd like to say he's trying to get it where you have a super tournament, super payout with no entry fee. Think that's the direction he's trying to go. And it's tough right now. Guys getting sponsorships is like, if you're not in the game trying to get it, it's kind of hard for you to understand it. But like whether it's with a TV show, whether it's with a podcast, whether it's with, you're a professional angler or you're just an up and coming guy, YouTuber, like even the YouTubers, even though a lot of money is going that way, it's still really, really hard, especially when it comes to cold, hard cash. Lots of companies will give you baits. They'll give you percentages off. And if that's their business model, that's great. But like, if you're looking for like cash to do payouts, to do entry fees, things like that, it is not the easiest landscape out there right now to navigate. Really tough. Just trust me. I know I can tell you that. Sponsors are paying these pros entry fees. Yeah. Okay. Well, tell them that, hey, listen, I need $10,000 more for a one-off tournament. They ain't that many. I'm going to write you that check. Now there's a few, but there's not, $10,000 entry fee checks are not flying off the shelf right now. Gonna film me fishing the tournament. Hopefully it makes for good entertainment. And you should film it. You should. I think, I wish there was a way, and if we had enough money to do it, to take at least 20 boats and put a camera on you guys and go live during the entire tournament. And I sit right here and I basically pull a Luke Duncan and Fat Cat, and I'm just talking to you guys and talking about what's going on during the tournament. If there was a way for us to make that happen, I would do it. If a tournament organization operates off of tips from companies, could that not eliminate the tax burden for the organization and they would be able to significantly increase payout without losing money? Now, Colton, what to do? Well, man, that's a big question for right in the middle of the day. Okay, my brain ain't woke up yet. This is only my third cup of coffee. All right, see you later, Doug. You got to give me time when you throw that. If a tournament organization operates off tips from companies, could that not eliminate the tax burden? I guess. So what you're saying is change it. Instead of paying partnerships, they're tipping you, and there's no tax on tips. Is that what you're trying to say? Are you trying to go Trump on me on that one? I think that's what you're saying. And if they did that, then they'd have more money to do the payouts. Let me know in the comments if that's what you're talking about. If so, that's interesting. But I imagine there's somebody up there in the IRS or Congress or something that will figure out if that's what you're asking for. They'll figure out a way to go around that. Messick, Doc Holliday wants to know, what's a banded dove? And yeah, Big Daddy Trump, I knew this was getting ready to come in. I was letting him play with his idea, but the whole tip thing is capped. It only goes up to so much. But it is interesting that you're using your brain trying to figure out ways to kind of slide in and do that. But it is capped. Yeah, I was aware of that. But I was like, it is interesting that there's got to be a loophole in there somewhere. Tracy Coker goes, I know getting sponsorship during my son's high school fishing was difficult. You have to work your tail off to get them. Yes, you do. Tyler said, I don't know if I go live, the language gets a little crude. It does me as well. And I'll go, and I'll go, sorry, Lord. And about 5 minutes later, I'll go, sorry, Lord. You'll hear me say sorry, Lord, like 52 times when I'm fishing a tournament. Alex says it's 100% dependent on the angler that's asking. Yeah, I know, but it is like, listen. And Silverpunk says it's cash tips only, isn't it? Yeah, but I get where you're going, Colton. You're trying to figure out a way. And again, Big Daddy Trump over there said it is true. That whole tip thing is capped. But you are now using your brain to try to, go into some interesting ways. And I'm sure there are people smarter than I am that might could figure out that loophole right there. But it is interesting that you've thought it that far. But yeah, back to Alex, seriously, it is 100% dependent, but there is a pie at every company that wants to get into it. There's that pie. And it's got, for media, for sponsorships, for marketing. And everybody wants a bite of that pie, and it is tough. Colton says, to me, it seems like the tournament organizations need better financial lawyers and advisors. I don't mean to be that rude, just a constructive opinion. Dude, I don't think that's rude. That's an opinion. And you could be 100% right. If Zaldane pulls 1,000 viewers on his live, 100 anglers would pull 100,000 views. Absolutely. The math is correct on that. But do you have 100 anglers out there that would pull 1,000 views? I think of on the elites, just on the elites. There are maybe, we got Paul in the mill. I'd watch that. Cook, Welcher. There are maybe 10 at the most that I would watch, that I would want to sit there and watch. NPFL, about the same. MLF, maybe 3 or 4. That I would actually pay money, like even if I paid a subscription to watch, 10 tops on the whole thing. That I would spend a day watching. I would follow Emil and Paul and them, and Robert Blesky on the MPFL. I'd watch those guys because I do, just because I got relationships with those guys, know them, they're local, whatever. Drew Cook, same thing, like him. I would watch them, but I don't think you would get all 100 anglers to pull 1,000 views. Now, you could have the aggregate or whatever that smart word is. Some of your lower guys might pull 40 and some of your upper guys might pull 2,000. So you may get to 100,000 that way. But I don't know. I can't. Who would you? What are the anglers you would pay? Like, let's say you had to pay for that. What are the anglers you would actually pay to watch all day long, staring at their butt, seeing what they're doing? So that's just me. Now, Doc Holliday, back to the dove, the banded dove. This is Messick's answer to your question. To my knowledge, they raise these doves and put a little band on their leg to track their growth and flyways. My dove was a male born in 2023 or earlier and released in Columbia, South Carolina, which is about 2 hours away. I believe they only release 100 or so this year. Very interesting. Very interesting. Chris Johnson, 63696. Trey McKinney and USA Bassin are hosting a big tournament on Kentucky Lake the end of the month. Ride up. Do you have the dates, the actual date? I might look into that. I've seen McKinney down at ICAST and all that, talk to him every once in a while here via text and everything, but that might be pretty cool. Kentucky Lake's only what? 5 hours? Maybe. I don't know. How far is that from North Georgia? That would be pretty cool. That's another thing too that I probably need to start paying more attention to when they go and like countryside. Take soccer, for instance. Let me rephrase that before I say what I was going to come out of my mouth. I caught myself. I could care less about professional soccer. The 20th and the 21st of this month of September, that might be something to do. I don't care about professional soccer, but I will watch the World Cup when you get countries involved. Okay. I am not a big hockey fan, but I'll watch it, maybe even the Olympics. So when you get countries involved and it's country versus country, I'll watch it. I will not watch the WNBA or really that much the NBA, but I'll watch college because it's college against college. I think that's a little bit different, but I'll watch it in the Olympics. So I really probably need to get on the USA Bassin thing a little bit more. Because I do enjoy when countries represent countries. Baseball, I absolutely like the World Baseball Classic. I like the Classic. Seriously. I really do like watching that. But how many of you guys out there have watched or paid any attention to the USA Bassin stuff out there? I see the posts. I don't agree with all the guys that are on it. There's a couple of guys on there that I probably, for various reasons, wouldn't put on there, and I will not make that public as to why, but there are a couple. But I'm a big McKinney fan. I like him. Kid's good. But yeah, country versus country, I can do that. So when you say they're hosting a big tournament up there, are other countries coming in, or is it just kind of like an open tournament? Who all is going to be fishing at Kentucky Lake at the end of this month? I saw Trey's post about it, never looked into it, though, Tyler said. Oh, it is open. Okay, so we're not going to have, like, other countries come in. It's just, here's a tournament. We're just doing an open tournament. This is the organization, USA Bassin, that's putting it on. Okay, see you, Tracy. Get back to work. That might be interesting. But you guys get what I'm saying? Like soccer. And listen, if you're a soccer fan out there, more power to you. Okay? Bores the ever-loving daylights out of me. Even though I had to coach it when my kids were little. That's a little bit, it's not bad coaching because you can just yell at them. At soccer, the coach, especially in Park and Rec, because the field's so big, you can scream the entire time and nobody's going to think anything. The meet and greet is the 20th and the tournament is the 21st, $5,000 guarantee for first. Okay, that might be pretty interesting. We're talking about, Doug, USA Bassin. Oh, you're fixing to go to work, Tracy. That's right. I forgot that. You got that shift. Zaldane had over 30,000 hours of view time first tournament. That's good. Zaldane might, but also too, though, here's the thing. Zaldane was one of the few, if not only, and what's the other one that tried to do it and couldn't? Robertson. So he's the only other option other than some of the bass footage. Now, if the entire field had that, would he be able to do that? William Gully Fishing, thoughts on the new bass FFS rule? You asked, I will reply. We talked about it a little bit earlier, but I will reply since you asked. Don't like it. I think, as we talked the other night on the live well, I think the diverse schedule that they had this year was fine enough. You know, Chris says he loves it. Now, I will say, like, it's not the worst thing in the world that they could have done, but I think they kind of accomplished that already with the lakes that they had this year. Certain lakes played, certain lakes didn't with it. Now, you know, like I said, the only complaint I really got is the coin toss took too long. That's what I talked about earlier. But see, I mean, if they kept it, it would have been fine. I'm not against forward-facing sonar. I have no problem because if we're being honest, everybody talks about the views, and we're going to talk about that tonight too on the live well. I'll kind of touch on it a little bit. Everybody talks about how boring it is looking at a guy stare down at the screen. It's the same camera shot with a guy casting to the bank. The only difference is he's looking up. Only difference. You're looking at his backside, and maybe the camera goes over and you get some stuff out there, but you got that this year anyway. Even with it, you got that anyway. So we're going to talk a little bit about that tonight. Clint said they got to figure out a way to make it more entertaining all the way around, even with this rule. So, you can go either way, but I mean, you had NPFL without it. MLF was kind of split, and Bass could have just stuck to their guns and said, hey, go with it. We're going to, play with what you brung. However, apparently there's all this outrage. We don't see that outrage. I don't know where the outrage is coming from. Really, we don't see the guys that come in here. They don't complain about Bass allowing forward-facing sonar. They just don't. We'll talk about the high school. Now, that's different. We're going to talk about that tonight in high school. That's a little bit different. But in the professional ranks, I just don't know where all this outrage is unless you're following one or two people on social media. I do think eventually Bass will become conditioned to forward-facing sonar. That's already happened, dude, on Lake Lanier. That has already happened. You can tell. And you hear guys talking about it, you can tell. So 100% agree with you on that. Ryan says blockheads. Yeah, I mean, he's one of them, but there's several. And on Hartwell. They have in Lake Norman for sure going up outdoors, says on TikTok. Yeah, you can tell now that in some places, well, it's just kind of hard. It's like they'll scatter, and you have to fish for them a different way. Or they're not setting up in the brush a certain way. Every time I go with a guy like Underwood, when I go, he'll tell you right now, based upon his thing, they're already in their fall patterns. He's catching them like he would later on in the fall already. But when we fished a month and a half ago, he was like, you could tell. Just they were not doing their typical stuff. And he's talked about it. He thinks that they're tougher to catch now with forward-facing sonar. Absolutely. And so the guys in the know said, I think even Emil, he might not have said it on camera the other night, but I think he even talked about it off camera. If it wasn't on camera, it was off. He mentioned something about, yeah, you can tell the difference. Absolutely, they're conditioned to it. And I've always said, and it's just a hypothesis. This is just me. And so I'm going to use Alex Purrs as an example here. From last year, let me read this. Chris Johnson. From last year to this year, they said it went from 80% would bite to 15-20%. Well, you could be right. That could be. I mean, I don't like throwing out the percentages because those are really hard to prove. That's why I do get irritated with Uncle Randy, because you'll say 80% of bass got. No, you don't. No, 80% don't. He likes to throw out the clickbait percentages. Are you talking about up north in the last elite? Okay, that might be. But I'm always skeptical of percentages unless I'm looking at a piece of paper that actually has the facts, because percentages can be skewed. But I can believe what you're saying. But this was my hypothesis from a dumb Southern redneck, okay? And I hope TikTok understands I'm talking about myself. Don't knock me off here. If I'm getting followers not committing, I'll turn my live scope away and then get an extra bite. That's the thing a lot of guys are doing. Or actually a lot of guys will find them, then turn away and then cast. I do know of guys talk about doing that. But I've always said, if you're getting all this pressure offshore in a lake like Lanier, and they're getting tougher to bite, my hypothesis was, with more anglers out there, the shallow bite, could it possibly be better now? Could you possibly have as good a quality or better fish shallow? Because they're not getting as much pressure as they normally would. Tyler says, I'm going to have to try that. You talking about spotting them and then turning away? Tyler, is that what you're talking about? A lot of guys come in here and they talk about doing that. Now, you got Alex. If he's still in here, knowing he probably has to go back to work. He's probably back at work. He's crushing. He's crushing fish. Oh, yeah. Ryan says, nah, they ain't no fish up shallow. Y'all just stay offshore. Jeremiah says, as a bank fisherman, I can confirm the shallow bite is pretty good. Transition is definitely a big thing. I'd say reduce the gear size too. And I don't think it's the ping of the forward-facing sonar. It's more of a boat presence thing. And you could be right, Aaron. 100%. You could be right. Absolutely. And Lord knows they've seen 18,252,000 Sabills and flukes going across the top of their head too. But you could be 100% right. But I've always just thought, and this is the way my head works. Like if you used to have 80% of the anglers beating the bank and 20% fishing offshore, and now you've got 70% of the guys seemingly fishing offshore and 30% fishing the bank, you got to have some better fish or some better fishing up shallow. You just got to. Just the way, that's just my logic, and I could be wrong, but I think that's the way it should work. And you're seeing this. Let's see, my biggest fish and pressure places are on the finesse stuff. Absolutely. I think you're seeing this in a lot of places. And just Alex and some of your kayaker guys absolutely slamming fish shallow. And I say shallow, we're going to say 15 foot or less. I'm not saying they don't ever fish deep, but they're absolutely slamming them. And those deeper fish are having 60% more pressure than ever before, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is like, I really think, which is interesting, okay? It hasn't translated into tackle sales. If the shallow water bite, all right, you guys over here, let me fix you real quick on TikTok. Do it quickly so I don't have to net before I make my point. Make sure I don't lose my live here. And hit that button, swing, and we are going to resume it. There we go. All right, so I didn't lose you guys on TikTok. But think about this. Okay, heck, I'm slamming 4 to 6s in 3 foot of water in central Pennsylvania. 8:14 flying in time says, going up outdoors. I caught my new PB on a small drop shot at night on a secondary point. I can believe that 100%. My best fishing has come shallow recently. Danny, 100%. I've stayed shallow all year long, and the bite seems to be more productive with numbers and size. I've caught more 5 and 6 pounders than ever before. I think it just makes sense. And you're seeing it in people's pictures. I had a point before TikTok threw me off that I was going to make, but Aaron Parker says the audio is way better on this side. I'm going to have to figure it out. I don't know why. Maybe I got a loose cord over there, but it actually runs through that camera, actually picks up this mic, and we'll have to see. I'll figure it out, but appreciate you letting me know that. Maybe that's why nobody watches it on TikTok. Talk about the Snell knot, please. William Seeger. What would you like to know about the Snell knot? Because I am not the most experienced at the Snell knot. I do not use it. Some of you guys over there on YouTube, do you use the Snell knot? And if so, that's not for finessing, for sure. Any of you guys use a Snell knot for anything? I just don't use it, William, to be honest with you. So I am not going to try to give you an opinion on something that I don't know anything about. You said, I'm sorry, it is for finesse, for finessing. I don't use it. I'll use a Palomar. I'll use just a straight old improved clinch knot on a lot of things. And, a shaky head. I think a lot of people forget about old school lures and baits like before the Senko was the Sluggo. Oh, yeah. You're right. Galarian. Did I say that right, Galarian? Aaron Parker says he uses a Snell knot only on a Texas rig, and Ryan says only punching grass. Okay, that's when they use it. So both of those are more, I wouldn't call those finesse style things. Do you have any owners shaky heads in stock, or what do you have? I've got a few owners left. I have Bass Assassin Sluggos, like tons of them. Put them on eBay, baby. But they still work. Can you still buy a Sluggo? Messick wants to know. Now, William says that Snell knot gives him a better hook set. Okay. And Jeremiah says, okay, William, listen to this. Jeremiah says, I only use a Snell knot for bottom rigs and circle hooks, but not for bass fishing. Also, it's supposed to be pretty good for straight shank flipping hooks. That's where I've seen it. I've seen it on that. I can tie a perfect FG knot, but loops and Snell knots, I cannot. I can't tie it. William Gully says he only uses it for flipping. Them sluggos, they call them teardrops now. Lunker City Fishing still sells sluggos online. For you guys that want to buy a sluggo, Lunker City Fishing, according to Galarian Corsola, 1998. That's what he says. Now, Wilbotron says, I use a knotless knot instead of a snail. Easier to tie, and mine's never slipped on some big fish. Interesting. Okay. The traveling fisherman, now he's over here from TikTok. The most pressured places I fish shallow, the biggest fish are coming on spinner baits and jackhammers. Okay. Again, yeah, doing some power stuff. Now, Ryan says the snail knot pivots the hook at an angle that will penetrate the roof of their mouth on a straight shank hook for flipping or pitching. But now he's using it in finesse situations, which is interesting because, like, I'll be honest with you, I haven't heard anybody talking about a snail knot in a really finesse situation. What knot do y'all use on straight braid? Ryan's got a knot that he taught me for the horny toad. And I don't know if you ever told me the name of it, Ryan. I don't think you even knew the name of it. It was just a knot that he said, that's the one I used. And I can't even tell you. He can describe it. I use mostly Palomar knots for my finesse needs. Like if I'm throwing a drop shot, I'll throw a Palomar. That's what I use. In my opinion, the power bait sales are being down due to creators and tournament anglers constantly being on camera catching fish with the new baits people haven't bought for the past 20 years. Video on the channel. We have a video of that. Oh, I forgot. The horny toad video, Ryan. Is that it? Is it on the horny toad video? If you guys want to know about the braid knot, Messick, if you want to know about the, okay, you're right. It's on there. Totally forgot about that. If you want to see Ryan's knot that he uses, it's straight braid, and I imagine he uses this on other things, but it's on a horny toad video that is on our channel. And you can see that knot that he ties. But I don't know the name of it. I don't think you ever came up with the name of it. I think you said like you just saw it and went with it. That's the knot I tie. But I totally forgot we had a video on that. But yeah, it's on the horny toad video. Horny toad video. Let me get back to Colton's thing. Y'all listen to this again because I went through it pretty quick. In my opinion, the power bait sales being down, and you're talking about not power bait from Berkeley, but power fishing, is due to creators and tournament anglers constantly being on camera catching fish with new baits people haven't bought for the past 20 years. Is that what you're saying, Colton? Like the reason jigs are not selling as well, or the old school spinner baits, things like that, is because the content creators now are not using them. Is that what you're saying? I want to make sure that I'm giving you the proper, what you're saying. Messick, it does not slip. It doesn't slip. I think the Japanese bait market is one of the biggest innovators in the pressured fishing market, and that's 100% correct because you don't know how big bass fishing is in Japan. It is huge, but they only got X amount of lakes. You talking about pressured fishing? Yeah, that is as pressured bass fishing as you can get. So that's why you see all these little new innovations and all that, and you'll see them eventually. Everything works this way. I do think half the elite tournaments without forward facing sonar will help tackle sales. I do think, think about this. We're 15 years behind Japanese fishing. We are. We're not quite as pressured as they are. So, and Eric, I'm trying to go on both of these comments. You're talking about tackle sales without the elites not using it. And then Eric says the elites will be using it more this year with the schedule and no forward-facing sonar, the lakes that they announced today. So, yeah, but even it does help. But on the Sabine River, Brazalo's buzzbait, that's what it was won on. That's what you saw it on. It did tremendously help him. So hopefully it will. Hopefully it will bring back some of these old school baits because I'm telling you, jig still catches fish. Spinner bait still catches fish. They always have. Crappie must be really dumb because you can wreck them with forward facing sonar. If the crappie are biting, Doug, and catch them on a bare hook. They ain't the brightest for sure. I've been trying some new Japanese baits. It's a chore to try and get some. And then, Galarian, whatever. Like the Dice soft plastics with the skirting in it. It's a wild design, but it works like a charm. Now you see where it's gone now. When we went to ICAST this year, and you had those dice baits with all the little appendages coming up, like every company now, regardless of what they make, has that style of bait. Cinco's, bunch of jig material through them, like the dice bait. It is heavily influencing a lot of things. Good grief, they're going to try to shut me off again. We'll have to hit it again. It's heavily influencing a lot of things that normally it wouldn't influence. I mean, think about a Cinco. Had you ever, before the dice baits come out, seen a big movement of people, okay, a big movement of people taking jig material and going through their worms? It's everywhere. I wonder if inline spinners will make a comeback. I think so. I think now inline spinners, I do think like Picasso has an inline. I know Nichols has an inline, like Buzzbait. They're out there. It is quite possible they make a comeback. Let's see. Aaron Parker says Bill won on his 2 jigs the first elite tournament of the year. Yeah, they still catch fish. Colton says, yes, influences on us as consumers have changed forms, not style. Example, if everyone with a platform was talking about a DT crankbait, those sales would go through the roof. So you're saying it's the platforms as an aggregate, as a whole. Classic baits aren't trendy anymore. That's true. Tight Lines UV was the first company to start doing it. I guess you're talking about that dice bait kind of thing. I've seen, and you've seen them now on social media. I've seen, and what's the term we want? Let's just call it diced. Okay, we'll call it diced. I've seen diced, and dice standing for jig material pulled through the thing to make it all have appendages. So many diced Cincos, diced TRDs style baits. There was one that I saw that was, I've seen it on like almost like an old monster at the front. And of course you've got the, if you like the Nico, and I've got VMC Nico heads that are the nail head you push up, that have the little appendages that come off of it. It's what's hot right now. It's what's hot. Will it help anything? I don't know. Baby D-bomb. Yeah, that's one of them. I don't know that it will help. I don't know that it will help that much, but it also shows that there's really, you can't reinvent, Ditch Pickle Daddy's finally on his lunch break. What's up, buddy? It also shows that you can't reinvent the wheel. There was not a ton of innovation in baits at ICAST this year. And so now what I'm thinking is you're going to go back and you're going to circle back and they're going to try to figure out, okay, we have absolutely perfected the dice bait, but let's see if we can noodle with the jig and make it a little bit different. Caught a tiny fish on a dice when I filmed my first video the other day. And it's interesting to hear guys say that, and I'll tell you, you ever see Missiles Shredder? I think I have. I'm not 100% sure right off the top of my head now, but I think that rings a bell. Correct products that everyone does not already have naturally increases sales. Sure, it's the hot thing. Whatever lure wins a pro tournament is what's going to get the most sales for a short period. Like when Fothergill won with the Nico, then Brazzalo gained a lot of buzzbait sales when he won that tournament. Absolutely. Now, what you're saying is the Missile Shredder is the most versatile bait I've seen to date. Not going to lie. Check it out. We'll check it out. But, I mean, how do you innovate? Seriously, like, the only way to innovate a Cinco, okay, is to stick things through it, make it look a little bit different. But it is what it is, and it has been forever. American companies not doing anything new. JDM companies doing all the innovation work now that gets stolen by American companies. Now, Jeremiah, I would tell you, I would venture to say this. I would say there is a lot of American companies in every industry whose stuff gets sold by or gets stole by another company that's really, really close to Japan. Not Japan, but really, really close to it. How many baits that are from American companies or stuff you can buy the blank, or you'll see it cheaper coming out of that country? JDM uses water displacement instead of sound, which I believe helps with pressured fish. Interesting theory. I'm a fan of her sticks too. I'm a fan of Hex sticks too. he typed it wrong, so his first comment says, I'm a fan of her sticks too. Then right below it, he put HEX. So not her. But hey, She might have great sticks, dude. Brazzalos are still selling a lot from that. And we had Brazzalo on our show. And very, very, a lot of the guys now here, they use it. So, but think about that though, Jeremiah. Seriously, a lot of things that get made elsewhere gets ripped off by that country. And you see it, especially if you are a bait painter or things like that, because that's where you can go buy the knockoff, the knockoff blanks. So it happens. Every country out there in every industry is probably guilty of some shape, form, or fashion of taking intellectual property from another company in another country. Galarian said, I had to step away, but I wonder if companies will try to innovate the really old school lures. That's what I was getting ready to talk about. I was using Brazzalo before it was cool. Core tackle jig is awesome. Has that marabou flash or whatever it's called, and most of the weight is on the hook, causing the jig to roll as you swim it. Chris Johnson says the jackhammer. Boy, those things are getting ready to go up. Because buzz baits are very popular and productive. Brazzalo became more known after that win. Great for them. I love the Wee Whacker. And Brazzalo has a mini version of the Bushwhacker that is fire during the fall. Look into it. Okay, but let's go back to some of the things. Like a jig, how do you change it? How are you going to really improve other than they come out with a better hook? Or you can make a small modification here or there, but you can't reinvent it. Sluggo, Cinco, whatever, there's not really a lot of innovation you can do with it. They work. Now, the dice is something totally different. Every once in a while, you get a totally different style bait. Okay, but when the dice goes away, or when the dice bite gets to where it's just common, everybody's got it, then what? You're still not going to see a ton of innovation. When we go back down to ICAST next year, which a lot of people say they're not having it, but I know the company I went down there for is already booked for next year. I can get a dice mold and make thousands for dirt. Yeah, for dirt cheap. Yeah, you can. Making it roll as it swims is a huge advantage over any other swim jig. Okay, Aaron Parker, I give you that. But now what's next? I mean, there's only what I'm just trying to say is there's only so many ways you can go. Went from natural skirting to soft plastic, and that's about it outside of hook quality and material. What's up, John G? Oh, man, you had 101.6 temp for 3 days now. Man, I'm sorry. I got a daughter that's had that too. Who makes a good compact swim jig, and what's a good trailer for it? You guys out there in the comments section. Throw it out there. Who makes a good compact swim jig, and what's a good trailer for it? I know a lot of guys like the X Zone trailers. I did see that the ones that they were showing from Tactical Fishing when we were on here the other day, those look pretty good. I'm not sure if they're set up for a compact size swim jig. But you're right. So, the innovation. So the dice thing, and then of course you got people like, oh, I'm never throwing that, or that's the most gimmicky looking thing in the world. Yeah, I get it. It's different, but it will become more commonplace. Okay, what's next? What can we expect, especially with what's already out there? You have the most ultra realistic looking lures. Okay, I don't think they can get any more realistic unless they were just actually real. How do you do it? It's a great question. Anybody remember the Balsa Blitz crankbait made in Loganville? I do not. Aaron says you can get them weedless or non-weedless. You can. And Chris says over here on TikTok, depending on what I'm fishing, I love an Ultra Vibe speed crawl for a trailer. A lot of guys like that. I know, let's take underspins. And Colton says, I like the Z-Man minnows as a swim jig trailer. Okay, that works. And what is the Yamamoto? Is it the Seiko? The small one? I know a lot of guys like them too. Where the hell was I going with that? I had a thought. You guys always throw me off on a thought. Marling baits make some good realistic stuff. Yeah. Oh, I know where I was going. Underspins. Okay? Take an underspin. Now, there are underspins that swim better than other underspins. They don't roll as much. How are you going to change that bait in the next 2 or 3 years? Guys said Somebody, I love his videos. Ditch Pickle Daddy, are you talking about 814 flying in time? So we'll go check him out. 814 flying underscore in underscore time. 814 flying in time. Is that what you're talking about? Doug Rice says Zayco was what you were going to talk about, Aaron Parker. No. I was talking about underspins. Okay. Underspin is an underspin is an underspin. How do you change an underspin? I like how companies can improve on perfection, like the classic Beetle spins. Add another blade to the underspin. Oh, no, Marling Bates, not me. Okay, check out Marling Bates videos. Doug says, I still fish old school baits and catch bass. It's hard to sell me on new baits just because the pros are pushing them. I've never bought a bait because a pro used it. That's just me. Maybe an underspin with a rattle in the head or with a special blade that adds body roll or something. Okay. But there's spot choker is the best, though. Doesn't roll over. There's a lot of them out there that don't roll. There are some out there that roll really, really, really bad. Really, really, really bad. There's some very good ones. Spot choker is a good one. There's some very good ones out there. Strike King's new underspin is good. Other than that, the tactical Bassin one is the go-to for Aaron Parker. But I mean, like what I'm saying is like there's only so many things you do with it. Patricia Leanne says, put the blade on top, Roger Gibson said. That's a possibility, but it's still, then it's not an underspin, it's an overspin. Right? I'm just playing with you. Is there a weedless underspin? I know that you can buy some molds and pour some weedless ones. They do make them. But in Patricia Leanne, since I have over 2,000 lures, any takers? Like we have the really old school guys who still swear by WD-40 on their plastic still. But listen, Galarian, it does work. If you look, especially listen, if you go to an old can and you got to find an old can, it says fish attractant. And I think it's mostly because of the mineral oil. And that's the base for a ton of your scents and stuff like that. Just mineral oil. They have made them on top already. I thought they had. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's just mineral oil. It secretes scent. That's what I'm saying. So a lot of guys still use that for sure. I think they changed the ingredients. Now, they might have. We'll have to check. But I know on an old can of WD-40, it did say fish attractant because we looked it up one time. But we did not see it on a new can. So you might be right, Chris Johnson. A line through underspin and top blade has been done already. Y'all hear me out. If you want to put goldfish flakes in your worms, it'll work, Messick says. Small fishing, big catching. Favorite TikTok live right here. Well, man, I appreciate it. We just like you. I'm just a regular old Yahoo that likes to talk with everybody. It has a certain smell to the goldfish. You talking about putting goldfish food in your worms. They get trained to it. All right, so South Carolina people are taking goldfish food and they're putting it in their worms. I guess so. Aaron says we could put blades on the side. The traveling fisherman says Kitech swing impact for a swim jig. Perfect. Goldfish flakes. Now, Aaron Parker, I did have a swim jig that I bought. It was a swim jig that had two blades that came out the side and with blades on it. Never caught a fish on it. We grew up catfishing and using WD-40. A buddy of mine used dog kibble for catfish bait. I can see that. You know what the guys in Tennessee are using for catfish bait right now? Yeah, Aaron, I bought it somewhere and I had it and I ended up losing it over at Latham. But it was a swim jig that had two coming out of the head, had two arms coming out of the head and had two blades. So when you swam it, there was two blades on the side. I didn't even see a fish look at it. So when I lost it, it didn't really hurt my feelings. But catfishing on the Tennessee River right now, a lot of guys are taking chicken breast. Not chicken liver, not chicken gizzards, not any of that stuff, but they're taking chicken breast. And then they soak it in the Kool-Aid, things like that. But they're using chicken breast. To me, that's like, I guess the chicken breast absorbs the Kool-Aid and is great, but that's a good piece of meat to be wasting. But I like chicken livers too. Guess a mini A-rig will do. Messick Outdoors, we don't do half the things y'all Georgia folks do. I work with a Georgia native. Well, yeah, we do some crazy stuff. Atlanta Outdoors just joined, better late than never. Well, I'm on a roll, dude, so you got here in time. But chicken breast, they will soak chicken breast in Kool-Aid and They're catching big catfish in the Tennessee River on chicken breast, which I thought was crazy because when I went, we used skipjack and big brim. But something about if you're going to use a cut bait, a lot of them guys will go with chicken breast. I always love the yum craw scent. Yeah. Only so many times you can reinvent the wheel. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. And I imagine on tonight's live well, that's going to come up about when we're talking about problems with the industry, which is what we're going to do tonight. And I will tell you guys, listen, tonight, you may be able to see us on TikTok. I'm going to try to get it. That's my go-to pay lake bait. Chicken breast with Kool-Aid. Interesting. We're going to talk about people's, if you had a problem in the industry, what is it and how do we fix it? Anything and everything's on the table. Anything and everything's on the table. I used to put dog food kibble in a pantyhose, excuse me. It's been a long day. I used to put dog food kibble in pantyhose and submerge it to chum catfish. Georgia lakes are so pressured, we're always trying to find something new that they haven't seen. I've actually caught bass on hot dogs. I've caught catfish. I've never caught bass, but I have seen a video where a guy took a strip of bacon, put it on a hook, chunked it out, and was reeling it, and the bacon's going through the water like a worm would, and he caught bass on that. I ain't seen hot dogs, but I have seen bacon. Float them weedless like a Zara. Oh, you're talking about a whole hot dog. That's something we need to try to make a video on. Does it have to be like one of them good hot dogs? It can be one of them cheap red hot dogs. Do you know that hot dogs in Romania are white? I know that's some useless information, but I went on a couple mission trips out there. They don't put food coloring in there. So your hot dog, if you go to Romania I'm serious, if you go to Romania and you buy a hot dog there, it is absolutely the whitest thing in the world. And I say white, let's go gray. Can it be a cheap hot dog? Are you guys a believer in scent or no? For bass, it's a 50-50 thing. I'll just tell you my personal belief is put it on a worm or something you drag slow, maybe. I think when they bite it, they hold on to it better. But on a fast bait, I see guys put them on crankbaits and stuff. I think that's a reaction bite, and I don't think you have time for the scent to kick in. That's just me. And I am not on the elites, and I am not on anything like that, so I could be 100% wrong. But I hope it can be a cheap hot dog. But you done got me thinking now. I'm going to go try to catch a fish on a damn Oscar Mayer. Pro tip for catfish, get a free bucket of blood from a slaughterhouse and use a rolling pin to flatten it out onto a baking sheet after it congeals, and you got several pieces of blood bait. Absolutely. Since 86% of their eating habits. It could be. Bassmaster did a thing on that back in 2017 with it. And I listen now. Not everything Bassmaster's doing, people are believing right now. The looks I got as a burly bearded man buying pantyhose was priceless. Yeah, I could imagine that. Garlic salt into a package of worms, ? Roger Gibson. I don't know if I would do it in the salt. I don't know if I do salt. Josh Jones says it doesn't help at all. I use a Walmart shad scent in a spray can. Man, it's deadly. I know the bang stuff, when I get it in stock, it goes like boom, quick. I don't know, Roger Gibson, if I would add more salt, a flavored salt into a worm. I just don't know about that. I would go get like essential oils or something, like the women putting those diffusers and stuff, and see if you can find some some garlic essential oil and maybe mix it with some mineral oil or something. I don't know how it works. Put it in there. I personally believe in putting it on plastics, etc. I believe in that. I mean, that's okay because they're slow. That's what, I'm good with that. I think we're eventually going to get to a point where fishing success will be extremely difficult. If everyone would do it, I'd be willing to take a couple years off to generate somewhat of a reset. It'll never happen, but what gives? Ain't nobody going to do that. Good idea, though. You got your right idea in your heart, but that ain't going to happen. A lot of guys fish a reaction bite, too, so they wouldn't even know. That's true. Like, I just don't know that I know you can put some of that gel on some of your harder baits, and I do think that when they bite it, it at least will give the fish a sense of some reality, maybe in the taste. I don't know. Maybe make them hold on to something better. I remember when scent was eating the gel coat on your boat. Yeah, back when it first came out. Seen a guy whack your rig, a Twizzler, and catch a bass. Made me question reality. Like I said, I've caught tons of brim on a pack of chewing tobacco after I ran out of crickets. Just take a strand of chewing tobacco, put it on the hook, fold it up like a little worm, throw it under a pencil float. Boom, boom, boom. Scent works 70% of the time. I think Spike It or JJ's Magic works best because the color more than the scent. I do believe that. Them fish don't want Gwaltney hot dogs. They want that all beef stuff. Okay, well, there you go. I can believe that. Predictions. Who is the 2026 AOI Elite Series angler? Good grief, Danny. I can't read. Been a while. Who's the 2026 AOI on the Elite Series? Who is the angler of the year on the Elite Series? You guys think about that. Let me read a couple more comments and I'll give you my ideas. The claim that bass can smell oil now, right? They claim it. Alex Rudd did a video on Berkeley study making that claim. I don't know. The thing is, scent works, but only on some of them, and some flavors are better than others. I would know. I've tried all of them. I've become a believer in using Spike It markers on my soft plastics. Spike It markers are the best. Get your fish on. Hey, hope everyone is well. Hope you're doing well too. Appreciate your videos. Guys, you need to go follow him. He does some really good, just straight up vlogs on what is happening. Just straight to the point. No frills, no nothing. Here's the info. Here it is. Ask for your guys' opinion. So absolutely go check him out right there. Does anyone make a jig head with a rattle inside the head? Not off the top of my head. I mean, like, look, I got these spinner baits from and I gotta go look his name up again. I think it's Mark something. But anyway, you guys remember when we had Rosalo on and he had that spinner bait that had the blade that the guy made. It was really funky looking. It might have even been a buzz bait that was made from the lawn chair. Well, this guy right here is the guy who made that thing. And so he's out of Arkansas. I talked to him the other day for about, I don't know, an hour on the phone. And he sent me a bunch of these night spinner bait blades from the company. He ties for a lot of companies, and they got rattles on them. Little bitty rattles on the spinner baits for night blades. I don't know. I don't know that rattles make that much of a difference, but every one of these spinner baits got them on there. Hard enough to find any good swim jigs with rattles as it is. I don't know about anyone that puts them inside. Try cast again, 814 said on TikTok. Now, your guys, 2026 AOI Elite Series Angler of the Year prediction. Who you got? I'm going to say this. I'm going to go with it. I'm going to stick with it because I think it's just destined to happen. I'm going to go Trey McKinney. Dude's been close. And what better way to do it now that for the lakes you can't use forward-facing sonar on? Now, Tyler says Emil. Aaron Parker says Gerald Swindle. I love Emil, and I love them. I think they need to get a couple more years under their experience. I think Trey McKinney's he is just a little different mindset. Rooting for Emil. I am rooting for Emil and Paul Marks Jr. I want them. Get your fish on, says Patrick Walters. You can't go wrong with Patrick Walters. I can see Jordan Lee making a run, quite possibly. I'm telling you, like, seriously, like, I could draw Patrick Walters' ass. I've seen so much of Patrick Walters' ass while he's fishing. Absolutely. Could pick his butt out of a lineup. Bottom Line Outdoors says Patrick Walter. Don't the Terminator jigs have rattles in it? I think some of them. Patricia Leanne says Trey. I mean, I'm buddies with Trey. I would love it if Emil did it. I mean, Emil's my favorite by far. And he could. I just think he's a year or two away getting some more experience, and he's going to be there. I think eventually you'll see him holding up a classic. I think Emil is that good. I think his whole room, those four guys, were that good. But I think, Patrick Walters, you can't go wrong with anything. Anything Patrick Walters does, he's a good choice everywhere. But I mean, listen, how do you vote against McKinney? Chris Johnston realistically could three-peat? Yes, he could. Yes, he could. I mean, listen, I don't think there's going to be a huge change in your top 30 next year than what you see this year. You don't like Canada, Patricia Leanne Shaw says, okay, don't like Canada. I get it. Walter dominates on the NPFL without forward facing, and he does darn good with forward facing. 100%. No, you're absolutely right. And the NPFL is my favorite. I've seen a ton of him. That's why I say I can pick his butt out of a lineup. Kyle Patrick's a good choice. I'm going to go out with the meal in October, going to try and soak up as much info as possible. What you need to soak up is his confidence. I'd love to see Seth Fighter do it again. Yeah, I got to hit Seth because, like I said, at ICAST, he said he was going to come on my show. I just wanted to wait till the season was over with, so I need to reach out to Seth and see if I can get him on. Kyle Welcher might be good too. Welcher is one of those that's good in everything. Welcher is honestly good in everything he does, and he's smart. For a country boy, my Lord, he's smart. He is so smart. but I know who will win the Classic. All right, guys, who will win the Classic this year? Throw it out there. Was it Knoxville? I would say, I don't know if I can say McKinney on that one. I really don't know, it being on that river. Seth Fighter seems like a really cool dude. He is absolutely a really cool dude. What you see is what you get with Seth. I mean, cigarette hanging out of his mouth. All right, that's Seth. Yeah, man. Who will win the Classic? I don't know. That's a good one. There's so many variables between now and then. Weather's going to play a big part of it too. I really do. You say Trey. Patricia Leanne Shaw says Trey. I don't know. I know Emil and them qualified, so they'll be there. I would say somebody that's really, really good on the Tennessee River is going to win the Classic. That's just my take. I know that's a real highbrow take. So anyway, guys, all right, listen, tonight, 8 o'clock, if you've got if Lester qualified, that's his home lake. Yeah, he would be good. Fujita is strong too with smallmouth. Easton back-to-back. Ooh, that'd be tough. It is tough to go back-to-back in any professional sport. Nobody knows who will win it. That's true. Nobody does. But Lester would be, yeah, if Lester qualified, that would be his home lake. That would be really good. And, Fujita, yeah, he probably could figure it out. And that's another thing, too. They're going to go, what's going to rule? Which fish is going to actually, rule the day on that? Tonight, 8 p.m. on the live well, I want you guys all to come back. It is your gripe. Whatever you think is wrong in the fishing industry, I tell you what I'm going to fuss about. I'm going to fuss about high school fishing a little bit. But if you think it's Bassmaster, if you think it's MLF, if you think it's sales, if you think it's the tariffs, whatever, if you want to come tonight, it's a safe space. You can put what you disagree with in the comment section. We're going to read it. We're going to discuss it. And I have Father Time here to give me the old school view. Tony and Alex will be running the board, and right here beside me, they'll be giving me the young school view. And I'm kind of that middle-aged man. I'm supposed to be the white, grumpy, old 50-something. But I'm going to try to play Switzerland. I'm going to try to be nice, except when it comes to high school fishing. I do have a strong thought on that one. So anyway, you guys have a great rest of your day. Get your fish on. Appreciate you jumping on with us for a while, buddy. You guys have a great rest of your day. Come back tonight at 8 o'clock. Let's keep the conversation going. The Cowboys and the Eagles, that game's going to suck. Okay, nobody cares about those teams. And I'm telling you right now, the Eagles are probably going to beat the crap out of the Cowboys. It's not going to be worth watching. Or put the Cowboys and the Eagles game on, turn the volume down, and listen to us. But come back tonight at 8 o'clock. We'll keep it going. We're going to talk about that. You guys have a great rest of your day. All right? Don't work too hard. Tomorrow's Friday. We just got to get through today. And we'll see you guys tonight. So I'm going to get rid of my YouTube guys first. You guys be good. We'll see you later. Have a great